You know, George Eliot's Middlemarch, it's not just a novel, it's a whole universe in miniature. And look, we're not going to get lost in the huge, sprawling plot. Instead, what we're going to do is pull on the essential threads that make this book so timeless. We're talking about its incredible exploration of ambition, the sometimes brutal realities of marriage, and this tangled social web that can trap even the most idealistic people. All right, let's just jump right in with a quote that really gets to the heart of the whole thing. This is from our main character, Dorothea Brooke. And what's so fascinating about her is that she isn't dreaming about love or money. Nope, she's dreaming about knowledge, about finding her purpose, about getting to some kind of higher truth. For her, marriage isn't about getting a husband, it's like a key that unlocks a giant secret library of the mind. So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at this intense quest for greatness. Then we'll see what happens when that quest smacks into the reality of marriage. After that, we'll check out a parallel story of ambition gone wrong. And finally, we'll zoom all the way out to look at the entire social web of Middlemarch itself. All right, Section 1, A Quest for Greatness. And this is all about Dorothea Brooke. So, who is she? Well, you've got this incredibly passionate and smart young woman who is just completely out of sync with her time. She knows deep down she's meant for something bigger than just needlepoint and making small talk. She's looking for a life that actually matters.
She's after what she calls a grand life. And you might be asking, okay, what does that even mean? For her, it means dedicating her entire being to some higher purpose, to contribute to something that's going to outlast her. And she sees marriage as the way to get there, the vehicle for her ambition, a partnership that's all about elevating her mind and spirit.
And what I think is so cool here is how specific her dreams are. This isn't just some vague, fuzzy idealism. I mean, look at this. On one hand, she wants to help a great scholar with his life's work and learn to see the truth like the great thinkers. But on the other hand, she has these super practical plans, like designing better cottages for the poor. It's this amazing mix of a huge intellectual goal and a really grounded, hands-on plan for social reform.
And this slide just perfectly lays out the central conflict, doesn't it? On one side, you have Dorothea, who sees marriage as this gateway to something profound, and on the other, you have pretty much the rest of society, summed up perfectly by the town gossip, Mrs. Cadwallader. For her, and for Middlemarch, marriage is a transaction. It's about money, it's about family connections, it's about social standing, it's a contract, plain and simple.
Okay, so now we get to the part where idealism smacks right into the hard wall of reality. Dorothea makes her choice. She marries this older scholar, Mr. Casaubon, who she thinks is this towering genius, her ticket to that grand life. And, well, this is where her beautiful ideals are about to face their first and probably most brutal test. This quote really captures her hope, right? This was the dream. In her mind, their life together is going to be this noble, shared mission for knowledge. She's not just going to be a wife in the normal sense. She's going to be his intellectual partner, his apprentice, a crucial part of his great monumental work. And then, boom, reality hits, and it is absolutely crushing. On their honeymoon in Rome, a city she has dreamed of her whole life, the whole fantasy just collapses. Instead of that meeting of the minds she expected, she gets coldness, she gets arguments, she gets this awful, shocking, emotional distance. It's a complete catastrophe.
And here's the key thing to understand. Her unhappiness isn't just about a bad romance. It's the death of her entire intellectual dream. She discovers that Casaubon is actually pretty petty and insecure, and he's totally threatened by her intelligence and her desire to help. So he just shuts her out. And instead of that partnership she craved, she finds herself in this moral solitude. She's alone, and she slowly realizes his so-called great work is just a dusty, pointless mess, and she is trapped.
But here's the thing. Dorothea isn't the only one in town with big dreams that are about to get crushed. Let's bring in another major player, Dr. Lydgate. He's this brilliant, ambitious, totally modern doctor who shows up in Middlemarch with his own set of grand plans. He's basically a perfect mirror for Dorothea. And just like Dorothea was searching for a grand life, Lydgate calls medicine the grandest profession in the world. He is not in this for the money, not at all. He's a real scientist. He wants to do cutting-edge research, completely overhaul the local hospital, and bring the latest medical science from Paris to this sleepy little town.
And you guessed it, just like Dorothea, his ambition gets tangled up and ultimately derailed by his marriage. He marries the town beauty, Rosamond Vincy, but their goals are on completely different planets. He's driven by this noble scientific purpose, right? She's driven by climbing the social ladder and living in luxury. For her, his amazing work isn't a calling.
It's just an obstacle standing between her and the fancy lifestyle she wants.
But it's not just his wife. It feels like the entire town is working against him. The other doctors, they're totally stuck in their ways, they're jealous, and they just call him an arrogant prig. At home, Rosamond's expensive taste is sinking him into massive debt. That debt forces him to get tangled up with the town's powerful but kinda sketchy banker, Mr. Bulstrode. And the worst part? The town gossip twists everything he does, turning his medical breakthroughs into nasty rumors and scandals.
And this right here brings us to the book's most famous idea, its central metaphor. Lydgate isn't just having a bad run of luck. No, he's caught. He's caught in the web of Middlemarch. It's this invisible net of social ties, money problems, and hidden secrets from the past that connects absolutely everyone, whether they want to be connected or not.
I mean, the narrator literally tells us this is what the book is about. She says her job is to unravel how people's lives are woven and interwoven. That's the key. In a place like Middlemarch, your story is never just your own. It's always tangled up with somebody else's.
And a huge part of this web is just public opinion. It basically works like a town-wide surveillance system, and it slaps a label on everybody. So Lydgate, he's the arrogant prig with dangerous ideas. Well, Ladislaw, he's some suspicious outsider. Bulstrode, the banker, probably a hypocrite hiding a dark past. And our hero, Dorothea, she's just weird. And these labels, man, they stick. They are almost impossible to shake off.
Okay, let's look at a perfect, super clear example of how this works. You've got Fred Vinci, who's a charming guy but totally irresponsible with money. He gets into debt, he talks the honest, trusting Caleb Garth into co-signing a loan for him. Well, of course, Fred can't pay it back, and suddenly Caleb's entire family is on the hook for the cash, and his daughter Mary has to use her own life savings to cover the loss. See, one single private mistake sets off this chain reaction that pulls multiple families into a crisis.
And that is the absolute core of it. That's the logic of the web. In Middlemarch, nothing is truly private. Your secrets, your money problems, your big dreams, they're never just yours. Every single choice you make sends ripples out across the entire community, tying your fate to people you might not even really know. In a world like that, true individual freedom is pretty much an illusion.
Which leaves us with the book's final massive question. In a world like this, a world full of flawed people and tangled up motives, where your big dreams are always getting tripped up by petty realities and what other people think, how on earth do you actually live a grand life? George Eliot doesn't really hand us an easy answer, but she seems to suggest that maybe true greatness isn't about changing the world with some huge monumental achievement. Maybe it's found in the small, everyday,